Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Politics Tonight. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Tonight, as political parties and politicians continue to defect, align and realign ahead of 2027, we shall be discussing multi-party democracy in Nigeria. The big question is, can multi-party democracy survive frequent defections and unstable party lawyers? And I will be speaking with a politician, educator, and businessman, Bitrus Kazi. And I'll also be speaking with a senior advocate of Nigeria and political affairs analyst, Gyong Zi. Welcome to the program, everyone. But first, let's begin with some political developments. President Bola Tinubu has asked media practitioners in Nigeria to constructively criticize government policies with fairness and a sense of national responsibility. President Tinubu says the media must remain partners in building a stronger and more united country, and criticism should not be used to undermine the nation's progress. The president was speaking at the All-Nigerian Editors Conference in Abuja, where he acknowledged the vital role of the media in shaping public discourse and strengthening democracy. He also spoke on the government's efforts to improve the economy, emphasizing that cooperation, trust, and shared understanding is needed for every Nigerian to enjoy the dividends of democracy.
Democratic governance and national cohesion. Then you also have a role to play in electoral integrity and trust deficit. Because without electoral integrity, there can be no democracy. Electoral integrity begets democracy, and democracy begets good governance. And good governance fast-tracks the exorcism of trust deficit.
As we deliberate here today, I charge you, my colleagues, to see yourselves as essential partners in national renewal. The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has demonstrated its faith in you through his actions, not just his words. We invite you, therefore, to engage, to critique constructively, and to report with utmost responsibility.
As editors and managers of the national information space, you shape narratives. You influence public understanding. You decide what becomes national focus and how our collective challenges are interpreted. The weight of that responsibility is extremely significant. It must be exercised with wisdom, fairness, and a strong sense of national duty. We live in a time when information travels rapidly and widely. Social media has made every citizen a potential publisher. This has benefits, but it also increases the speed and scale of misinformation. Falsehood can take root before truth has time to speak. In such an environment, the editorial function is more important than ever.
President Bola Tinubu speaking there. The House of Representatives has resolved to constitute an ad hoc committee to probe federal government-owned abandoned landed properties and buildings across the country valued at over 20 trillion naira. This is on a day the lawmakers asked the Nigeria Correctional Service to maximize the engagement of inmates in farming. National Assembly correspondent Jokadisa reports.
A motion of urgent national importance, moved by Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda, called for immediate parliamentary action to recover and put abandoned federal government-owned properties and buildings to productive use.
About 63% of the federal government landed properties and buildings and projects since the nation attained independence has been abandoned without completion, and many abandoned for one reason or the other.
To enhance efficiency, the House also urged the Nigeria Correctional Service to maximize the engagement of inmates in farming.
Engaging inmates in farming will enhance food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture in Nigeria and beyond.
In another development, the House Committee on Gas Resources is set to investigate the operations, financial reporting, and remittances of NNPC Liquefied Natural Gas Limited with respect to the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas.
That the financial transaction statement and operation of NNPC LNG Limited in the Caymans have not been transparently reported to either NNPC Limited or LNG, resulting in potential non-remittance of dividends, taxes.
Lawmakers are also seeking to investigate the collapse of local rice farming and rice mills across the country.
The 180-day import duty waiver granted by the federal government to import husked brown rice and other food items has severely impacted local producers, thus leading to the reduction in the demand for local rice.
Meanwhile, the recently enacted Electricity Act 2023 is up for amendment as a bill seeking to provide for the effective development and regulation of nuclear energy programs in the country, passed second reading.
Promote the development of nuclear energy for electricity generation in Nigeria, including the development of small modular refined reactors.
And in politics, Nigeria's governing party gained another member in the House of Representatives following the defection of Kaduna State lawmaker Daniel Amos from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress. Mr. Amos was formally welcomed into the party by the leadership and members of the APC at plenary. Joke Edsa, TVC News, Abuja.
Let's take a short break now and return for our conversation for tonight. Please stay with us, everyone.
The Renewed Hope Initiative RHI presents the RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow. This national competition is in 3 categories. The household category is a tree planting competition amongst 11 frontline states in northern Nigeria. Each participating household in Adamawa, Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara states will plant a minimum of 1 tree to qualify, with a video evidence of before and after the tree planting exercise. 20 million naira will be awarded to the best household. Submission deadline is 20th December 2026. Community category will see local governments, local communities, schools, and NGOs reclaim and transform degraded or abandoned areas such as dump sites, landfills, parks, and their likes into green, vibrant gardens, parks, and eco-friendly spaces. 50 million naira would be awarded to the overall best community group. Deadline for submission is 15th July 2026. State category will have all states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, excluding Enugu State, have a chance to address the growing threats to environmental sustainability and cleanliness. States will be judged based on the number of trees planted on major roads and inner streets and how clean they are. 100 million naira will be awarded to the best performing state. Already, Enugu State has 100 million naira for being RHI's model green state due to its greenery and cleanliness. Video evidence must be submitted by participating states on or before 20th December 2026. All entries must be directed to RHI Office, State House, Abuja, or email rhi.greenchallenge@statehouse.gov.ng. RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow.
Thank you for staying with us, everyone. Political pluralism is a cornerstone of democratic governance. It fosters competition, it enhances representation, it strengthens accountability. But since the 2023 general elections, defections have surged, with prominent opposition politicians across all levels of government joining the APC. In a thriving democracy, political parties are often seen as the pillars of representation and choice. But what happens when those elected under one party's banner decides to switch sides? Today we take a closer look at defections, the act of changing party allegiance, and what it means for the health of a multi-party democracy. Are defections a sign of political flexibility, or do they weaken the very foundation of democratic accountability? Tonight, let's get some answers and insights to my questions from 2 distinguished gentlemen. Beatrice Kazi is a politician, is a farmer, and a teacher. And my second guest is Giang Z, SAN, lawyer, political affairs analyst. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Welcome to Politics Tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So today as we speak, the APC has expanded its Senate strength to 76, following the formal defection of Senator Jaribe from Cross River North. Also today, Daniel Amos also defected, Rep member Daniel Amos also defected to the APC. There is a school of thought that says that defections may shift the numbers in Parliament, just like we've seen in the last few months, but they also shift the faith of voters. In the end, the question remains, can democracy stay strong if its players keep changing sides? SAN, let me start with you.
Oh, to me, thank you. You know, let me first and foremost appreciate you for bringing me here to have a discourse on these particular issues. And let me also take this opportunity to greet our viewers. It's actually the law. If you look at Section 14 of our Constitution, that Nigeria shall be governed by the principles of democracy and social justice. Now, we are not only talking about democracy, but we are also talking about what? Social justice. So the defections that we are seeing, as far as I am concerned, are based on the efforts of Mr. President by ensuring inclusiveness in governance, which takes care of the issue of social justice. As far as I'm concerned, we don't have any problem with that. Everybody have a right to associate, and you have the right to go to any political party. The law protects you. Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which deals with fundamental rights enforcement, as far as I'm concerned, is clear. It also envisages a situation whereby every person has the right to associate. So as far as I'm concerned, I am very, very convinced that the defections so far are based on the agenda of government. If you look at the last administration, I'm sorry, let me talk here as a lawyer. If you look at the last administration of President Buhari, he didn't record this the massive defection. But this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as far as I'm concerned, he has shown leadership. He has shown capacity. He has shown inclusiveness. And basically, that is the basic reason for the mass defection to the APC. I can assure you about that.
I hear you, SAN, and that's why I intended to start this from the legal perspective, because truly, legally defection is not an unrestricted right, but it is limited by rules designed to prevent opportunistic party switching that undermines the voter's choice. However, from the legal angle, these switches exploit constitutional loopholes.
Okay.
Did you get that, SAN?
It's not very clear.
Because there are some of your legal colleagues who have said that some of our current laws, as seen in Section 68 1G, Sections 109 sub G, are rendered ineffective. Why is this so?
I didn't get you very well. It's not very clear. But if I get you, you are still emphasizing on the fact that democracy appears to be endangered by the wave of defection, which I do not believe so. Just as I highlighted earlier, the laws made it very, very clear. You have the right to associate, but for the Constitution did not restrict anybody from moving from one party to the other, except members of the legislators, that is the National Assembly and the Houses of Assembly. And then it also gives conditions for doing that. And if you look at the way the other parties are going on, you also know that one of the key reasons responsible for these defections is lack of internal democracy. Lack of internal democracy, impunity, and the rest. So you cannot blame any party for the defection of other members of political party.
All right.
Of course, the APC did not force anybody to join them. But of course, if that is a platform that can serve Nigeria better, well, I don't see anything wrong with that.
All right. Mr. Kazi, let me come to you. Let me get your perspective because, you know, it was important to start off that conversation with a legal angle. Now it's time for the political angle. You're a former member of the House of Reps, and the question that has kept, you know, burning the mind of majority of scholars is whether multi-party democracy is a blessing or curse to Nigeria's political environment, you know, with particular reference to the party defection that is ravaging party politics in Nigeria. Where do you stand?
Well, again, like my brother has spoken, I appreciate the privilege to be here. And I appreciate also the opportunity to share my views on the issues of defection. Good evening, Nigeria. Well, the thing is this. You need to take into cognizance the fact that this is not the first time we are witnessing defections in the Nigerian polity. It happened before. While we were serving the House of Reps, about 40 members left the PDP to another party. This is not the first time. And we had like about 5 governors, 7 actually. 2 didn't go, but we know that they work for the other party. There's nothing legally wrong with it. And actually, even politically, there's nothing really wrong with it. But I want to say that it does not depend on one political party alone. It is a huge task to be an opposition political party. Well, the governing party has a task of leading a nation and providing quality governance. But for opposition political parties, they need to make themselves a darling of society. They need to convince the people that they have what it takes, that they can command the respect of the people, that they have alternative ideas, alternative views that will cajole people into joining their political party. Yes, I know that there are restrictions for legislators that if you are voted into parliament from this political party, unless there is division. Unfortunately, in the Nigerian context, truly the political parties has over time had divisions and defections and, you know, camps that have led into a collapse of the center of such political parties. This is not the first time, for example, that PDP is having faction. There was a time a former national chairman of the party, our late father, Babaso Mollar, actually opened an alternative office for the PDP. It has happened and happened and happened. And so when you have a situation where politicians are boxed into a corner by impunity within the internal system of political parties, they are free to consider alternative platforms and pursue their political careers.
I hear you, Mr. Kazi, but let me stay with you. It looks like both of you are on the same side tonight. But at what point does changing parties become unethical or undemocratic?
At one time, does it become undemocratic?
Yes, and unethical.
I do not know when political parties changing political parties become undemocratic. Not everyone may like it. Not everybody may see it as a popular thing to do. But taking a cue from developed democracies, people change their political parties. When Obama was going to emerge, there were people who were serving under a Republican government that came out publicly and said, on this count, we are going to support the Democrats. There was nothing undemocratic. There was nothing illegal. Right. There was nothing unpopular. There was nothing wrong with that. So I do not know really what circumstances will warrant the defection of any member of parliament, governor, or any politician from one political party to another that will qualify to be undemocratic.
Mr. Kaze,
democracy is about people.
Let me use you as an example. You were a member of the PDP, but you resigned, citing unabating victimization of you and your followers. I mean, what you said was that you were tormented, you were ostracized and subjected to all manner of character mutilations. After you suggested that the 2015 governorship ticket should be zoned to the Plateau South. Now, why didn't you move to another party since then? Or have you moved to another party?
Oh, good. I appreciate this question very immensely because it provides me a platform to explain myself on a larger scale. There are two basic reasons that made me leave. In my statement of leaving PDP, I stated my reasons clearly. And it started in 2015 when I took a position saying that I believe that it was proper, I believe it was democratic, I believe it was popular, that governorship, having spent 8 years in Plateau North, should go to Plateau South, as is required by the constitution of the PDP and, in fact, the constitution of the country. The constitution of the country has this provision that government shall be administered in a manner that commands the loyalty of all sections of the country and gives a sense of national belonging to every part. So when we took governance on Plateau North, when we had governor in Plateau North for 8 years, and those in power felt that it should remain in Plateau North for another 8 years, I felt no, as far as PDP constitution is concerned, zoning should take prominence. And I advocated for Plateau South. On the basis of that, I was victimized, I was demonized, my character was mutilated. So the space became such that since 2022, actually, I was completely inactive in the PDP. Nobody invited me for any meeting. Nobody ever filed any petition against me. Nobody ever gave me the opportunity to state why I took the position. Why didn't you leave
at the time you were humiliated and ostracized? And have you joined a new party today? Because some of your friends said you were waiting for Mr. Peter Obi to win so you could boldly join the Labour Party.
Yeah, I worked for Peter Obi because I believe, like I told you, I'm an advocate of zoning. I believe that Buhari, having spent 8 years in office, it was only fair for a Southerner to take position as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I felt more appropriately the Southeast. So I supported Peter Obi, but Providence and then the country decided that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should be. And religion, sense, and the law requires that I accept that. But more than that, you know, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took certain steps that impressed me personally. And the first one is that on the day of his inauguration, he pronounced subsidy removed. I need to tell you that when I joined Parliament in 2007, the first interview I granted any newspaper is titled "Subsidy Removal, a Necessary Evil." It was published by the Daily Trust newspaper. I have advocated for subsidy removal. So when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had the courage to do it, I like it. I really felt he really took the proper step. And 2 years, 3 years down the line, we have no regret he did it because the states are getting more money. Secondly, one of the things that dissuaded me from working for the APC in 2023 was this much complaint about Muslim ticket. I was frightened. I'm from a minority ethnic group in the Middle Belt. I was frightened. But immediately President Tinubu came in. Unlike what we saw previously, he made a fellow Middle Belter Lieutenant General Gideon Musa to be the Chief of Defense Staff. He was as if saying, look, your people have been killed, and the best person to provide protection is a victim of the killings. I felt touched. I felt that, after all, this Muslim ticket led by President Tinubu was providing fairness to everybody. So I felt interested, totally. If you check the exchange rate, it was going bad, really. They took it from Goodluck Jonathan less than 1,000 naira, but by the time President Buhari left, it was almost hitting 1,800. Since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came, I know Mr. it has not gone down less than 1,000.
Mr. Kaiser, kindly hold on, sir. Let's go on a break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation for where you stopped. Please stay with us, everyone.
Wherever we go, we carry the taste of home with us. Because, as everyone knows, it's never just food. It's moments shared and memories made. And no matter where we are, it's the things we share that keep us together. Remitly, every transfer brings you closer.
Stay ahead with the biggest news stories. Go beyond the news headlines. Experience impactful investigations. Enjoy resourceful news coverage in real time. TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. Live every day on this channel. TVC News. First with breaking news.
Thank you for staying with us, everyone. Can multi-party democracy survive frequent defections and unstable party loyalties? This is one of the many questions I'm asking tonight, and helping me with answers and insights is Beatrice Kazi, politician, farmer, businessman, and teacher. Also in the program we made tonight is Kiang Z, SAN, lawyer, political affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thank you very much for staying with us on the program. So quickly before I go back to SAN, Mr. Kazi, are you now a member of the APC?
Yes, I'm a member of the APC since June 2nd. Yeah, and I was giving my reason until your break. Now, can I continue?
Please,
I mentioned first the issue of the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had the courage to remove fuel subsidy, and we have seen the result. I also mentioned that unlike what we saw in the past, his government, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, seemed to be all-inclusive to the extent that a person we consider a middle belter was given such sensitive position as the Chief of Defense Staff. That was second. The third thing I was now saying is that if you check the exchange rate, at least if we cannot say that things have improved to what we want, at least things are not going worse. He took over a government that the dollar exchange rate was between 1,700 to 1,900. In the last 2 years, I know it has not gone less than 1,400, but in the last 2 years, it has not gone beyond 1,600. Right now, it is around 1,450 something. And it has been stable until you are able to stabilize the economy. You cannot build an economy. Maybe finally, on this note, on this count, if you look at food prices, in fairness to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, food prices are actually coming down. I know farmers have complained that they are farming, they are buying fertilizer at expensive rates. So how comes food prices are going down? Yes, a government that is able to stabilize and reverse food prices will now be able to sit down and say, good, now that we have food prices stabilized, what can we do to help the situation of our farmers? Getting chemicals cheaper, getting fertilizer cheaper, getting land for farming cheaper, tractors and all the farm implements. But in any case, let's not forget, farmers do not go to farm only to make profit. Farmers basically go to farm,
All right,
and
Mr.
I'm
Kazi.
one. We go to farm, yes. We go to farm so that food will be available. Even the process, we're able to make small gain. Fine, so be it, because farming is a business also. But we do not expect that food prices should go high just in order to pacify farming business. So on these four notes, I told you about my victimization.
Just so we do not deviate from the crux of tonight's conversation, let me go back to San. And still on the reasons why, governors and National Assembly members are defecting to the APC. I mean, facts show that between 1999 and about 2023, a total of about 23 sitting governors in 18 states defected from the party, under which they were elected to another party. And a lot had happened in the last 2 years. Is the real problem weak party ideology or poor internal democracy within political parties? SAN.
Oh, well, just as I said earlier, if you look at what has been happening in most of the political parties, just as the Honorable said, they are supposed to present themselves as viable options for citizens to join. But they have failed in that regard. Look at the chaos everywhere. Look at, is it in the PDP? Is it the Labour Party? Look at Labour Party, in short, as far as I'm concerned. At the point, had three different factions. Look at the PDP, look at what is happening in the PDP. And what is responsible for this is what? Lack of internal democracy. And we've been talking about this issue for a very, very long time. You have your constitution, you have the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, yet once leadership is given to you, you administer it with extreme impunity. So as far as I'm concerned, the APC has shown leadership, and nobody should blame the APC. And as far as I'm concerned, the APC are happy to welcome anybody. They cannot stop any person from joining them. What we are saying is that if other political parties want, because actually the responsibility of ensuring multiple party system is not that of a ruling party, but that of the opposition parties. They have the freedom to ensure that they give a platform for people to people, you understand, to participate. As long as they do not do that, I can assure you, nobody will join.
All right, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, SAN. If you say the politicians are moving to APC because of lack of internal mechanisms in their own party, the APC is also not without its own internal issues. Don't you think the essence of democracy is for these politicians to stay back in their party and resolve whatever internal issues they have instead of moving to the ruling party?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we are not aware of any for now. None has come to bear. We have seen how they have handled their problems. They have been able to manage their problems. They have been able to ensure that they carry out with their activities seamlessly. I agreed that there is no 100% platform, but I can show you that any platform that has given up to 70%, you have to clap for them. If you ask me, I will tell you that the APC has shown that. And let me tell you, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has shown leadership across the country and not just to a political party. Look at the highlight. From his appointment, immediately he came into office. A lot of people were afraid about the Muslim ticket, but immediately he came in. He neutralized it. He showed that he has a very good understanding of this country from the beginning of his appointment, from the beginning of in short, from the point of taking his oath of office, by first and foremost even removing this false subsidy, which in the long run, all Nigerians are going to benefit. And his appointment into political offices, you will discover that he gave like the security formations completely. He handed it to the North. Immediately he came into office. The Chief of Defense Staff was from the North West. The Minister of Defense, both the main minister and that of the state, all of them from the North. He made key appointments to ensure that the concerns of the citizens are addressed. I'm from Plateau State. And in Plateau State, the governor is from PDP and not APC. Yet, he has made tremendous effort in cushioning the effects of the insecurity in Plateau State. And because we also know about these dynamics, one of the things he did was, okay, he gave the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation to somebody from Plateau State to take care of what? The crises that have bedeviled the North Central and the Northeast and the Northwest. He also gave it in the North, irrespective of the fact that he is from the South and the Southwest. So he has shown even distribution of both resources and participation in governance. And therefore, everybody will want to associate with such leadership. And that is why you can see the wave of defection. I can assure you that what we need in this country is simple. Sincerity in leadership. It's very simple. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has shown that. And therefore, of course, as I'm talking to you, I have also moved to the APC. I was in the Labour Party. I didn't see anything coming strongly from the Labour Party.
So what was your personal reason
even
for
the leader
moving,
of the party could not even manage the crisis, to talk of managing Nigeria as a whole. So I felt, look, let us give the president the needed support to address the problems of this country. He did not start it, but we hope by his leadership style, if he continues this way, by the grace of God, very soon these issues are going to be addressed.
All right, so you've said the president has shown leadership, and that's the reason these politicians, these governors, National Assembly members are moving to the APC. But does it not bother you that it looks like we are towing the path of a one-party system? And because it looks this way, voters will revolt, because the conversation out there is that the APC is now an elite party. How do you respond to that?
I truly appreciate that question. Even before I answer your question directly, you need to know, I personally, I had accused the immediate past government of rudderlessness, of cluelessness, of directionlessness. Nobody can come out under the current circumstances to tell us that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is rudderless, is clueless, or directionless. I mean, the economy is stabilizing, the naira is stabilizing, food prices are coming down. Yes, employment is not there as much as we want, but at least things are not growing worse. That being the case, it is not, if the drift towards a one-party state is not the responsibility of either a governing party or a party to which many are defecting into, or an opposition party, because in this country we have a history of a lot of members of the National Assembly leaving the governing party into the opposition party, which later took over. So it's not really a responsibility exclusively for the APC alone. No, It is the responsibility of the political climb of the country. If there is viable opposition, if there is credible opposition, if the opposition parties are thriving and delivering as expected, people will be attracted. But you are an opposition party, your members, you have issue with them, you don't listen to them, you even tell them to go to court, you deny some people forms, you are contesting election, and you stand as the person to screen other contestants, even though you are contesting the same election. They go to court, they win the case, you say you are not going to respect the court until the matter goes to a level where you begin to lose those who elected you. Now, I can tell you confidently as a politician, if I were in office and I'm hoping to go back to a second term, with my party going to extinction, with my party lacking structure, with my party lacking the basis to sign my nomination for INEC to receive it as a credible nomination, I will definitely look for an alternative. In that case, you cannot blame the ruling party alone.
So you would look for an alternative because, kindly hold on, Mr. Kaze, you would look for an alternative because you have not performed. Because many believe that if you've performed as a governor, if you've performed as a House of Reps member, if you've performed as a senator, no one would vote for you because you belong to Party A. They would vote for you because you've performed, even if you're in the Labour Party. So what's the distinction there?
You see, it's not just an issue of performance, because under our laws, in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, no politician can contest any election without joining a political party. We do not have space for independent candidature in this country. That means that every politician must have a political party. Those who are defecting, it does not mean they have not performed. Really, not all of them have. And on the performance case, no, that's not the case. But in fact, if you are a performing politician and you have delivered on quality governance to your people, and you are not expected to exercise your constitutional mandate by going back to the people to ask them for a second-term mandate, and then your party is now lacking the capacity, lacking the structure to sponsor you as a candidate, you have to look for alternative. It's not a crime, it's not a sin, it does not offend any law, it does not offend politics, it is democracy at play. This is what is happening in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Right. People have lost confidence. Like he said, we supported Peter Obi. Peter Obi made Labour Party very popular. But at the end of it, the Labour Party rubbished Peter Obi. And the Labour Party has actually virtually gone to extinction. If Labour Party was a credible alternative, probably all the articles, all the Erufais of this world, all the David Marks of this world would have gone into the Labour Party and further strengthened it. That they did not consider the Labour Party, for example, tells you that there's something wrong with the opposition political parties. And
Mr. Kaze, just for the record. Just for the record, you supported Peter Obi while you were still in the PDP. Isn't that anti-party?
What's that? Come again.
I said you supported Mr. Peter Obi while you were in the PDP. Isn't that anti-party?
That I supported, yes, that I supported Peter Obi while I was in the PDP. Whatever you choose to call it, you can call it anti-party, but I always ask people, what is more anti-party? For the PDP to abandon the provision of its constitution, which requires that a president having spent 8 years in the north needed to move to the south, and the party ignored its own constitution. Rather than zoning the presidency to the south, the APC, which does not have zoning.
And now you are in the APC. I'm wondering, why should APC leadership or APC members trust you ahead of 2027?
Why should the APC do what?
Why should the APC members or why should APC trust you ahead of 2027 if you're so proud of engaging in anti-party activities?
See, the thing with APC is that APC does not have zoning in its constitution, but APC was sensitive to the national mood, APC was sensitive to feelings of Nigeria. APC realized that President Buhari of blessed memory has spent 8 years in office, and the South needed to get this fair share of power, balance of power. So the APC decided that the presidency was no longer going to remain in the North. Now, PDP that had zoning in its constitution now threw the matter open. The Senator Bala Mohammed committee now said anybody can contest. And clearly, those who had contributed from the South, with utmost respect, I do not mean to divert this attention, all of us who were in the PDP know that immediately President Goodluck Jonathan lost election, the person that held the party, the person that financed the party, the person that kept the party floating is Wike, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. He actually kept PDP afloat. Now, when it was time for the presidency to be zoned to the South, even if you don't want Wike, let it at least, let the PDP take the courage to say, okay, the national chairman of the party will be in the North, but the presidential ticket of the party will go to the South. It has never happened in the PDP that the presidential ticket of the party is in one zone, and also the national chairman is in the same zone. So who do you blame? Well, who do you blame for the misdemeanor of the PDP to keep both the ticket of the president and the national chairman in one zone? Of course, people became disenchanted, and that has become an albatross.
All right, then,
PDP
let me go back to
yes.
SAN, because, you know, he had mentioned or blamed the lack of ideology in some of this opposition party. SAN, if you check the records, between February 2024 and February 2025, about 300 political defections were recorded in Nigeria, with the APC being the primary beneficiary. A typical example is the presidential candidate, Mr. Kaze, supported in 2023, despite being in the PDP. And he says that's no anti-party. Mr. Peter Obi, who is neither here or there, I mean, he's jumping between the Labour Party and the ADC. We've also had, we also have the ones they call the Waka Waka politicians. So this continuous and uncontrollable rate and manner in which Nigerian politicians jump from one party to another. Because you had talked about lack of ideology in some of these parties, can defections ever strengthen democracy by encouraging ideological realignment?
Well, I can assure you that, yes, we've had defections in the past. And those defections were pursuant to certain interests. Do you understand? But as the honorable member said, usually defections are a product of certain responsibilities. And usually by what? By the political parties. If you remember what happened in the 2023 general election, you discover that Peter Obi emerged strongly because of what? Defections from different political parties. And it is because of the failure to comply with the provisions of what? Section 14 of the Constitution of Nigeria, which what? Provides for what? Inclusive governance. Include everybody, and constitutions of party also made provisions for zoning here and there. That was responsible at that particular time. In 2015, there were defections. Those defections were what? Based on insecurity. They said President Goodluck Jonathan was not able to address the issues of insecurity, and therefore there was a need to bring in somebody who can handle the issue of insecurity. But the defection in between 2023 or 2024 to date, which is still ongoing, it is simply because of the leadership qualities of the president, and then the focus of the All Progressive Congress as a political party. So, and I can assure you, that's why the restriction is only on members of House of Representatives, members of the National Assembly, and the members of the House of Assembly. The reason is this.
So should voters have, and kindly hold on, should voters have the power to recall defecting representatives?
I'm not getting you.
You talked about restrictions on National Assembly. You talked about restrictions on National Assembly members. So I'm asking, should voters have the power to recall defecting representatives?
Can I respond to that?
All right, please go ahead, Mr. Kazi.
Okay, fine. I need to address, I need to correct an impression that you are creating. Anti-party and ideological alignment. Look, you need to understand America, for example, is heading to 300 years of democracy. But I told you, when Obama emerged, Republicans who were serving under Bush came out clearly and said, on this note, for us to have a first black president, we Republicans, XYZ, will vote a Democrat. That is not anti-party, please. Much as America is ideologically advanced, that is not anti-party. But I need to add that it takes time for ideological differences to be defined. Within 25 years, you don't expect Nigerian politicians to have so clearly defined ideologies. We are growing, we are learning the ropes. Yes, we are stabilizing. We cannot be described as a toddling democracy, but you do not expect that we will all jump up all at once and become an advanced democracy. We are learning the ropes. But coming to your question, do the voters have the right for recall? Definitely they do. But as a parliamentarian, I must tell you the truth. The power of recall, to exercise that power is not as easy. You will, if you check, even in advanced democracy,
we're out of time,
the
Mr.
power
Kazi.
of...
But both of you, I mean, tonight, both of you have told me that defection is ever justified in a democracy. And I think that's a takeaway for politicians. Thank you so much for speaking with us tonight. Beatrice Kazi, politician, former businessman and teacher. Also Gyang Z, SAN, lawyer, political affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for speaking with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for watching, everyone. That's our package tonight. I'll see you again tomorrow, but please remember that you can watch a repeat episode of this program tonight at 12:30 a.m. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating,